What's good, everybody? Welcome back to Universal Teas. It's the People's Podcast with your girl Toya, and this episode is called What's the Game Plan? So boom, I can't just get on here talking like y'all ain't seen me in a while, right? So I have decided that for 2023, I wanted to be really intentional about what I poured into this platform and what I poured into this brand. And so I decided that I was calling 2023 the 4 quarters of focus. So the word that came to me for this year is focus, because there are so many things. And if you are anything like me, there's a million and one things that you want to do, that you aspire to do, but you just get overwhelmed trying to filter them out. And so I decided that this year I really wanted it to be all about focus. And the way that I broke down focus is in 4 different quarters. So the first 3 months of the year, so January to March, I'm going to be talking about planning. Then I'm going to be talking about proceeding with those plans. And then I'm going to talk about producing the fruits of the labor from all of the things that you've been working towards. And then finally providing. So giving your gift to other people and sharing your gift with other people. And so I decided to spend the next couple of weeks breaking down what planning looks like. And when I say planning, I don't just mean writing down plans for how you're going to accomplish your goals. I mean writing down plans for how you're going to be a better friend. How are you going to be better in relationships? How are you going to get the job that you want? How are you going to move differently in career and travel and your spiritual health? So we want and we have all of these different goals for ourselves, but we lack planning. You can want anything, but if you don't plan to get them, you won't get them the way that you should. Antonio, was good. And so I definitely want to be intentional, and I want to speak to the different types of planning that have to be done. So something that I'm planning is to make this brand bigger than what it is now. And so I'm going to go through, y'all know I love a definition. So I'm going to break down what plan actually means, and then how I kind of want us to work through this next couple of weeks as we're talking about planning for all of these different areas of our lives. Okay, so I have 2 definitions. So at first I was going to call this first quarter, these first 3 months, prepare. But then the word plan just seemed a little bit more fitting. So I have the definitions of both words. So we're going to start with breaking down what those words mean. And then we're going to start to break down how we execute planning properly, right? For what it is that we want to do. So boom, the word plan, by definition, according to Webster and Google, is an intention or a decision about what one is doing, right? So the first thing there is intention. And I've talked about this before. You have to be very clear about what it is that you want. You have to be very clear about the goal that you want to have. We can plan and say that 2023 is going to be this great year, but how? In what way? How is it going to be measurable? How are you going to know at the end of 2023 whether you were successful or not and what it is that you wanted to accomplish? How are you going to know that you've become a better friend? How are you going to know that you've become a better partner? How are you going to know that you've become a better worker? So you have to intentionally plan, meaning you have to understand and know what it is that you want the outcome to be, to know if you've achieved it. Right? And then the word prepare, which I told y'all was the word that I was thinking of for the first quarter at first. The word prepare means to make something ready for use or consideration. And so don't get confused, like I said, when I say plan, but to make something ready for use or consideration can be your spiritual health, your relationship with God. You can be making yourself ready for the next career that you're going to have. You can be making yourself ready to be a better daughter than you've been before. You can be making yourself ready to be a better friend than how you've shown up before. And so keeping these words at the forefront at the year when I'm talking about being focused, because that's my goal for all of us, is to be focused so that we can execute. You have to be intentional about what it is that you want. And so I said, before you can properly plan, because people tell us all the time, oh, go ahead and plan. You need to make a plan. You can't do anything without a plan. But before you can properly plan, you need to have an intention. You need to be clear about what you want and why. So don't forget about that why piece. So we can name all the things that we want, but you need to know why. In what way does it benefit you? Does it feed you? Does it feed the people around you and the things that you want to become? So planning has to do with intention. They go hand in hand. What is your intention here? Okay. So then I said, what I've noticed, or in my own experience, in my own transformation that I've been going through, I've realized that you have to be okay with planning in the darkness. Okay? You have to sometimes get to a point where you have no other options but to go up. And I talked about this a little bit in my Sankofa series a couple of months ago. But we sometimes don't realize that we need to do something different until we get to rock bottom. We don't realize that we need to do something different until what we've been doing no longer serves us in the worst way, right? Until we hit a wall with something. We don't realize that we need to be a better friend until you hit a wall in friendship. You don't realize that you need to be a better partner until your relationship is in constant struggle. You don't realize you need to plan to have a better career until you realize that you've hit a wall in a career that you're currently in. And so that is what I mean when I say you have to plan for the darkness. In your hardest times where we struggle the most, that's when it is most essential. That's probably when it's most beneficial to plan because there's no distractions there. A lot of times when you're isolated in painful parts of your life, that's when you realize that I have to do something differently. That's when you realize I have nobody to consider here but me. That's when you realize the people that are most important to me are going to be around me. And so you have to plan in the darkest moments. Don't let your idle moments, don't let your painful moments be idle. Don't let your painful moments just sit and take you in. You have to use those moments as a springboard to get you where you want to go. And this is a perfect place to start planning. Keisha says sometimes with fear, plans hold you back and you just have to dive straight into things and face them head first and take off. And that's the thing too that I want to talk about, or I've talked about fear in another episode, but planning and fear cannot coexist. You can't be planning. Well, nope, I was about to lie. You can plan with fear in your heart, but you can't execute that way. So when you're deciding that you want to plan, you have to know that the only way for you to go is up. So you have to plan with the intention that you're going to do it. You have to plan with the intention that it's going to be great, that you're going to move forward, that you're going to progress, right? You have to plan with the intention that things are going to go up. And I said the first step in making a game plan is deciding that you even need one. I'll say that again. The first step in making a game plan is deciding that you even need one. Because sometimes people get in hard times and sometimes people get in difficult situations and they hit walls and they are no longer comfortable in the seasons that they're in and they just kind of settle into it. They let depression win. They let anxiety win. They let these thoughts that we're not good enough, that we're not doing enough, that we constantly are messing up and doing things wrong. But you have to train your mind in those dark moments before you even sit down with a pen and paper. You have to decide for yourself that I have to change. Let me think about how. And so something that I also want to encourage you all to do, when we talk about planning, we automatically think pen to paper, or we're typing notes in our iPhone or in our Android or in our phones. But planning starts with a thought. Right? I didn't just wake up one morning and decide that I was going to podcast and start a recording, right? I had to go through things that made me feel like my podcast would be valuable to people. And then my plan is a thought. So thinking is a viable plan. So don't psych yourself out just because I'm not taking the steps, just because I'm not doing, just because I'm not up, just because I'm spending most of my day in my bed and in my head. You also have to understand that planning happens in your mind. Planning and vision coincide with each other. When you see it in your mind, that's already a plan. You just have to bring it and put it into the world. So don't let what's happening around you, and you have to be able to kill the noise. Because while you're in, like I told y'all, this year is broken down into 4 quarters. Plan, proceed, produce, and execute. I was about to lie. Plan, proceed, produce, and provide. You cannot judge that somebody else is on the provide stage when you're still in the planning stage. You got to get so locked in your planning, get so locked in the fact that you need to change. Everybody's story is not yours. Everybody's not in the same quarter as you, right? You might be following along with me and we're both in the planning stage, but somebody might not resonate with this because they've already made it to the provide stage. They've already made it to the proceed stage. They're already putting those plans into action. Don't count yourself out just because you're in the starting phase. Everything that great starts with the plan. Everything that is planned that is great starts with a thought. Every thought that we have manifests itself into a vision, and you have to understand and give yourself grace in all of this, right? You're not going to be a better mom tomorrow, but you have to understand what you need to do to get there and dedicate yourself to that. Dedicate yourself to your thought and your vision in those beginning stages. And so those are the things that I'm going to be pushing us to do in these next couple of weeks is what does your plan look like? Everything that you say that you want to do, that you want to accomplish, ask yourself why. I'm not asking you to write down your plans and go and share them with everybody, because everybody's vision is not yours. You might write down the plan and people will be like, well, I don't know if that's really capable. I don't know if that's really possible. I don't know if you can really do that. I'm not telling you that. The beginning stage is all about you. That's why I said that planning is best happening in our isolation, in our darkest phases, in those valleys. So give yourself time, cherish those moments. The painful moments, I'm telling y'all, they are springboards. That's where you get most of your inspiration and your ideas. You don't know that you don't realize that you want to be great until you feel like you're not. You know what I mean? You don't know that you deserve more money until you realize you're not making enough. You don't realize that you need to be a better daughter until you realize how toxic the relationship is between you and the parent. So take note in your dark moments that you need to plan, right? You keep getting this vision that's keeping you up at night. You need to write it down and make it a plan. You got this idea that just keeps coming back to your mind without you even trying. You need to make a plan. So keep that in mind when you're in your dark moments. You got to talk yourself out. You got to think about, okay, so what do I need to do to get out of here? I've been feeling this way for this long. What do I need to do to get out? And bring that into the real world. Because what is in the real world is that you feel bad for yourself. What is in the real world is that you're depressed. What is in the real world is that you're struggling in your career, in your marriage, in your relationship, in your finances. Those are real. So just like you're allowing those things to take up space in your life, allow the plans to get out of that space, take up space. Allow those things in that space to take up the space. Child, y'all know what I'm talking about. Allow those things to also be a catalyst to you advancing and doing things that you actually want to do. Right? Right. I know y'all heard me. Okay. So then the next thing that I want us to do when we're thinking about our plans, you have to decide and be specific about what it is you're planning for. Now, this is where you have to kind of be intentional, more intentional. So be specific about what you are planning for. Now, we know that there's 1,000,001 things that we want to do. I want to be rich. I want to be famous. I want to be a good mom. I want to do all of this. And you have to be able to ask yourself these questions. Who are you planning to be? And notice that I'm saying ask yourself these questions, because when you're in the planning stage or the preparation stage, that has to be all about you. What do you want it to look like? What type of person do you want to be without the influence of the world? Don't think about who might judge you. Don't think about who you might rub the wrong way. Don't think about how people are going to perceive you. Who do you want to be, right? Think about what you're planning to do. So moving out of the plan phase into executing, you have to think about what it is that you want to be doing. Okay? And the next thing that you want to ask yourself is, where do you plan to go? Who do you plan to be? What do you plan to do? Where do you plan to go? Okay? So those things, and if you answer those questions, and I really want you all to physically write down what these things are. Who do I want to be? Give yourself adjectives. And I'm not saying I want to be Beyonce. That's not going to happen. Beyonce's Beyonce. You're going to be you, but who are you at your best self? Who is Toya trying to be at her best self? I'm trying to be Toya, who is a walking brand. I'm trying to be Toya, who is an amazing podcast host. I'm trying to be Toya, who is a great mentor, who is an inspiration. So that's who I want to be. What is it that I want to be doing? Do I want to be hosting events? Do I want to be hosting workshops? What do I want to be doing, right? And what's the last thing I had said? Where do you want to go? Because when you have a clear plan, that's something that you could look at. If I'm writing out show notes, I'm planning what I want this to look like, what I want people to get from it. Oh, thank you. Sis said she liked my necklace. And then I said, once you know what you're planning for, it's easy to adopt habits to achieve these. So now that I know I want to be an author, a best-selling author, now I know to go and research what best-selling authors do. How do best-selling authors live their lives? Who are best-selling authors around? What are best-selling authors trying to give to the world? So once you have a clear idea for where it is you want to go, what it is that you want to do and who you want to be, you now know where you need to go to connect. You now know the people that you are looking for. You now know the people that you need to have in your life and those that you rather not. So when you are planning, think about exactly who it is that you want to be. Who are you planning to be? What are you planning to do in the world? Who are you planning to share your gifts with? And then figure out how you connect with those things, people, and opportunities. Okay? Next thing, and this one is really important, especially for me. I said to plan with intention and self-motivating desire. The key word there is self. So plan for your purpose, not the world's. Because oftentimes, if you're planning or deciding that you want to be Beyonce, and I use her all the time, but if you're deciding that you want to be Beyonce, you're kind of just going to mimic who she is, and you're not going to be living in your purpose. You're going to be trying to develop Beyonce's purpose. So plan with self-intention. Is this what I like? Sometimes before you plan, you might even have to sit down and figure out who you are. Because remember, we're planning in the darkness, difficult times sometimes alters who we are. It changes who we are. We have to learn who we are again so that you can reintroduce yourself to the world as who you plan to be and be confident in it. Because oftentimes when we grow, the people around us don't realize it if we're not like vocalizing it on a regular basis. So you might seem a little fake. You might seem a little off. You might seem a little disconnected. But in all actuality, you were changing. So don't be afraid to plan with your own purpose so that you can reintroduce yourself to the world with confidence. This is who I am now. Either take it or leave it. And that doesn't have to be messy. I know good and well. A lot of people like, oh, well, either you rock with me or you don't. And this, that, and other. Like, when you move on and move up and grow and outgrow and regrow and transform into different things, it's not a messy thing to tell people, like, maybe this just don't work anymore. I feel like generations more recently have kind of made it messy to kind of not deal with people anymore. And that's not real in an adult, in a healthy adult. Like, growing up and changing and evolving isn't a messy thing. It just be like that sometimes, and sometimes that's hard for me to even accept. But when you are planning for your own self-motivating desire, no matter who is around, no matter who is clapping for you, you will be able to continue with that plan because you made that plan for you. You didn't make that plan to please anybody else. Because at the end of the day, when you plan with intention for your own purpose, the people who you need, the people who are in community with you, who you relate to, they will gravitate towards you. And sometimes we trick ourselves into not believing that, but it's so real. All of this simple shit that y'all have heard before. I feel like I don't get on here and tell y'all things that y'all probably haven't heard before. But we really have to simplify our lives. Humans complicate things. And so when you are in these planning stages, really plan for you. This is a great time for you to be selfish. And honestly, don't plan for the people around you because they be like, oh, I love my family. I do this for me and my kids. You can't do the best for your kids if you're not the best for you. You can't be the best partner, the best friend, if you're not the best to yourself, because you don't even know who it is you're presenting to yourself. You don't even have a plan for who it is that you're looking to be. You don't even have a plan for how you are perceived, not how you perceive, but how you're giving off energy into the world. So be confident in your energy. Take the time to really figure out what it is that you want, what you like, what you don't like, what you tolerate, and what you won't. And you have to plan with that. So plans are real personal. Make your plans personal. That's the word. Make your plans personal. And then the people who have similar plans will gravitate towards you, and those are your people. Okay? Hold on. Ooh. So the next point that I have is to look at your plan as a commitment to yourself. You can commit to a lot of things. We done talked about toxic loyalty. You could be loyal to the person that is super toxic to your life, to the job that is not benefiting you, to the person that ain't got none of your best interests at heart. But you need to make sure that your plan, so once you've decided who you want to be, where you want to go, what you want to do, make it a commitment to yourself. Make your plan a commitment to yourself. If you can commit to this nigga that ain't been doing much for you for the last 10 years, you can commit to yourself. If you can commit to a job for 25 years that you don't even like and you literally hate waking up every morning, you can commit to your plan and your purpose. Take ownership of the things that you have in your life. Make your plan personal. Make it a commitment to you. I'm committed to this, so I have to. Right? So I said, make sure that this plan is a commitment. And I thought about like in wedding vows when they say for better or for worse. But make sure that your commitment to yourself is for better and not for worse. Commit to yourself for the better. Ain't no worse. Okay? Last couple of points, y'all. We get into it, getting through it. Understand that all plans are not permanent. Understand that all plans are not permanent. So as you all are making these plans, and next week we're going to get into the very specific plans that I want y'all to have for yourselves. But make sure that you realize that, because life be lifing. Okay? And a lot of the things that we plan for or do not plan for can kind of knock us off our square if we let them. So make sure that you understand that every plan is not permanent. Make sure you know that that's why your intention has to be permanent. My intention is to do this. My goal is to do this. So if I have to go in there and tweak a plan a little bit, I'm not changing my intention. My plan is to still be the best podcaster out here in these streets. Just the avenues that I take to get there might switch up. But my plan and my goal is always going to be the same. Okay? And then the last thing that I want you all to know is that you have to give yourself grace. Every day you're not going to want to plan. You're going to wake up one day and you might rip out your notebook, the whole plan you just spent days working on. Give yourself grace. Set your intentions and follow those. Make your plans for you. Make your purpose for you and follow it. Okay? So I am going to wrap us up here. Oh, no, I'm not. I have to tell y'all. So the next couple of episodes, we are still talking about planning. So the episode next week is going to be called Planning for Peace. Before you can plan to be great, before you can plan to do the work, before you can plan to be the best employee, you have to be at peace with yourself. So we're going to work through how to plan for peace. Because you have to be able to find your peace in the midst of chaos, because we're surrounded by chaos every day. So you have to plan for your peace. What does that look like for you? Plan for purpose. So plan with the purpose that you have. I just said that. I'm going to show you. I'm going to talk about what that looks like. And then following that, we're going to plan for progress. And then do I got one after that, child? I don't think so. Yep. So plan for purpose and then plan to proceed, because when we go into April, we're going to be talking about the proceed. So this first quarter, this whole month of March, y'all, we are planning. We are planning to be better, to do better, to feel better, to speak better, to see better, right? We are planning for the best parts of ourselves, okay? So with that being said, thank y'all for joining me. I will see y'all next week right here on Universal Teas. Share this video with a friend. Let them know that they can pull up on me to join the conversation. And I will see y'all next week. Oh, yeah. Shout out to Pisces season. Period. The 4 P's again. Plan for peace. Plan for purpose. Plan for progress. And then plan to proceed, because we got to make our way to the next step eventually. But yeah, y'all, happy Pisces season. Tomorrow's my birthday. So there's that. But yeah, shout out to the Pisces gang. We out here. I love y'all, and I'll see y'all next week. Bye.